Hi, everybody. Welcome to the LinkedIn Live with Affine. Today, we'll be speaking on the topic Indian gaming industry, a new gold mine for millennials. We have Gagandeep Mahajan with us today. Gagan heads the Gaming, Entertainment, and Media Center of Excellence at Affine. He's a veteran with more than 7 years in the gaming analytics industry. He started with console gaming in US gaming market and working with games for multiple consumer groups, Skylanders for kids, Call of Duty and Destiny for the more mature target group. Uh, Welcome, Gagan. Do tell us how your experience has evolved as a gamer in the last 7+ years, going from console to mobile gaming. Uh,
Thank you, Alex, for the humble introduction. Yes, I am a gamer myself. Back in the time again, I was like hitched towards, inclining towards the console gaming side of things more. But in the recent times, with everyone staying back home, I started to learn and kind of adapt to mobile gaming as well. So yeah,
okay.
though I prefer console, but yeah, mobile gaming is also something that I am into. Yeah,
So you're more on the pro side of gamers when it comes to the preferences.
I will not stretch that as an assumption. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're heading the Gaming Center of Excellence at Affine. Can you give us some details on why there needs to be a Center of Excellence for gaming and what the Center of Excellence aims to achieve?
Sure, absolutely. So Affine is now a decade-long company. And so far, Affine's approach has always been, industry agnostic.
Hmm.
We were, focusing more on the data analytical and the analytical side of things.
Hmm.
Though the industry expertise was not, something that we were focusing more on, right? But given the times, the COE approach kind of is a, commitment and also an statement that we are focusing on certain industries which we think are the future, and also kind of gives us ample amount of focus and in-depth knowledge that we would want and kind of try to get. So our aim at the COE is obviously to lay out the path for the company and how to place future bets and see how we are.
Okay. This is very good. So today we just wanted to talk about the Indian gaming industry. There has been and why it's a new gold mine for the millennials.
Right.
Uh, so the first thing we actually want to know is that there has been a lot of buzz in the market. There has been a lot of noise in the media that there is a big boom in the Indian gaming industry, especially over the last 1 year. How do you
Right.
see the Indian market and the potential that India has when it comes to
So
gaming?
okay, got it. So Indian, market definitely has a huge potential out there. It's speculated to be the gaming decade for Indian gaming community.
Hmm.
Uh, fast forward 10 years, 2030, definitely India would be sitting, way past the growth phase, and it'll be a more matured market as compared to, US as well as UK, right? Now, putting
Hmm.
some numbers into perspective, India currently has like 600 million, internet users. So that is the second largest, consumer internet economy, so to say. Now, with the rising, speeds of, the internet, like focusing more on the 5G side of things, there are certain developments there, thanks to Geo.
Hmm.
And now we obviously have, like low data tariffs, which kind of enable and kind of enlarge that entire appetite for youth, for content in general. And
Hmm.
gaming has now been since a pretty long time now, it has always been a preferred mode of socializing as well as content consumption in terms of when we talk about youth, right?
True.
The other stat to probably look at is probably back in 2017, India was sitting at 86 to 87 million mobile gaming, mobile gamers in the entire country, while
Hmm.
the current stat, ballparks around 325 million, which is like 4x growth in last 3 years. That's
Yep.
again like enormous, right? Again, like when we talk about like in the recent times, obviously like when the world was struggling with COVID-19 and everyone was like stuck within the home. 2020 saw India rise to the number one position in terms of the mobile downloads. We clocked like 7.3 billion downloads within 1 year. That's
Okay.
17% of the overall market share. Now that if at all that does not put India on the map in terms of mobile gaming, I don't know what does. So overall, and this is just on the pure play on the on the software side of things. When we talk about and the infra side that we talked about. If we
Hmm.
talk about from a the corresponding hardware market, gaming laptops kind of contributed to roughly 10% of the overall laptop sales.
Okay.
Uh, and then there are companies who are flocking together now and then launching like certain mobile gaming centric mobile phones, LG for that matter, OnePlus for that matter. All
Mm-hmm.
those things have been actually adding up, and it has put Indian gaming economy probably definitely on the global top five, right? And this trend definitely I would not contribute to last 1 year. I mean, there might be a lot of talk around it has definitely got media's attention, but if we talk about from the overall building phase, like since past 2 to 3 years, I mean, games like PUBG, Call of Duty, they have adapted those console games
Mm-hmm.
into the mobile experiences, and that has led to people kind of flocking together, and then kind of obviously experiencing those games on the smartphone, and then eventually wanting to have a better experience by buying more mature laptops, more mature consoles. Yeah, so with this kind of though this lockdown kind of has been a very drastically bad experience for most of the industries. Some of the industries have definitely grown leaps and bounds, and content is definitely one of them. And gaming has been leading the way for content in India for a while. Yeah.
Right. So you're saying that the movement has always been towards the industry boom, but then lockdown was a turning point where people had to depend on the gaming itself for socializing as well, because
I
they could not meet
I
each
think
other in
yeah,
person.
I
Yeah.
think yeah, I think it was like pretty safe to assume that lockdown in general has like put forward the entire world from 4 to 5 fast forwarded the entire world 4 to 5 years into the technological advancement. But as far as the content consumption is concerned, there's definitely a huge surge in the demand, which is why everything is leading to a great consumer market, a more mature consumer internet market towards something that can consume a lot of content.
Noted. So, when we talk about the increase in demand, especially, uh, who are the people who are driving this demand in India? Who are the people who are gaming? Who are our Indian gamers?
Okay, so if it all, so again, like India as a economy in general is like pretty, youth-driven economy, right? So 50% of the entire population is below 25 years of age, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of fits very well when you talk about from gaming perspective, because 60% of the Indian audience right now is within the bracket of 18 to 25, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
True.
that is like that is the core of the overall supply of demand. When we talk about from a mobile gaming perspective, I mean, out of the 325 million users, more
Mm-hmm.
than 250 million plus are actually playing mobile games, right?
Okay.
Three out of four people in India actually play twice on a daily basis. Now, the overall average on a daily basis is hovering above an hour. That is like more than television now. These numbers are
Okay.
like off the charts. I mean, India definitely, like the overall demand, if at all you have to understand the Indian gamer consumer, so to say. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
these stats definitely help us kind of open those understandings that we like that won't be a common man's understanding, right? I mean, these this
Right.
by the very nature of it, they sound off, but they are very true. And when we talk about from a some sense of the overall genre preferences,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in India, I mean, there are like certain genres that are more prevalent than the overall global. Hyper casual games are like more prevalent in the Indian market as compared to the any other market. Again, like when we talk about from action adventure strategy games, these are also like prevalent top three, top four genres
Mm-hmm.
in the Indian market. But again, overall from a global standpoint, hyper casual games win the lottery, right?
Okay.
Again, like it's again from an Indian consumer point of view. Again, like from a global sense, two in every five gamers are actually women, and that holds true in India as well. Which again is like pretty off from the common man's understanding, but that definitely puts that puts a lot of flavor in the entire audience.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is great. So, but you said that a large part of the population that plays games is less than
Right.
25 years old. These are supposed to be dependents who probably are still living with their parents, kind of a situation. It's not
Right.
the US where people start earning at the age of 15 and then they are on their own and start living on their own. This
Right.
is
Absolutely.
yeah. So,
Which is
do you
why I
think
think.
that parents are? Yeah. What I was saying is, do you think that parents are okay with kids playing the games and all that? Because when I was a kid, I used to get thrashed like anything just because I would be playing something, and that was not even video games.
I think. I think it's pretty much safe to assume, Alex, that there is an attitudinal shift in the overall market.
Hmm.
Parents are now being okay. Now, obviously, now in that times is also changing, and then like there's a lot of gamification around the overall online experience, so to say. There's a
Okay.
gamification in the education industry, like startups like Byju's, the other educational platforms like Unacademy. They're also like kind of gamifying that entire experience to fasten that overall learning curve, so that puts a lot of confidence in the gives a lot of vote of confidence on the overall society. And then
Hmm.
parents are, that's why kind of okay now people spending time online, and it is obviously regarded as one of the key stress busters around here, especially when people are like logged in within their homes.
True.
Yeah,
True.
I mean, from a global stat perspective, there is a very interesting stat that someone who buys a new phone gets
Ah.
downloads a new game on his app within 1 week. Now
Wow.
that
Okay.
that puts a lot of things in perspective, right? I mean, so people definitely buy phones because they're good cameras, because they're good screens. Now, screens expectation is obviously the content consumption, where again, like gaming is leading the charts as compared to the OTT platforms as well.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So the primary function of a mobile phone has long been lost. That it's supposed to be to call other people.
Absolutely, I think that has been a while now. So yeah,
All right. Now, when we talk about the demand side of things, naturally we next need to come to the supply side of things. That there are a lot of people who want to play games, who need that kind of a pastime
right,
in India. So, who are our game publishers? Who are the people who are producing the games, creating the games, marketing it? So, who are these players? Because whenever India is not as mature as some of the foreign countries
right,
like US or Europe when it comes to gaming, or even China.
right,
These are places where there are already mature gaming companies, publishers, and studios, everything. The entire ecosystem is quite mature. So, is it
right.
like foreign players are stepping in, or is it more of our domestic, indigenous players who are?
I mean, it is a function of both, Alex. I mean, if at all we were to understand the entire gaming ecosystem, I mean, there are like 6 to 7 functions that are required in order to boost that entire ecosystem out.
Mm-hmm.
The key would be the network providers, right? The publishers, the
Right.
channel partners, the OEM manufacturers, the payment gateways, the ad networks, right? So
Mm-hmm.
all these players have actually, like, the entire ecosystem has now kind of come together, and then every there are a lot of developments that are happening across the across the chart,
Mm-hmm.
wherein so like players like Jio, Airtel are actually like taking India and put India on the map in terms of the data tariffs. The accessibility of internet is now enormous in India, and
Mm-hmm.
then publishers like Nazara, who have been like struggling with the entire revenues since past 20 years, now have made a mark, and then went on public in the last month, right? So that's a very encouraging statement for the Indian Indian gaming community in general. And then channel partners like Google Play, Apple, app stores, they have already been around the block. But again, from an Indian perspective, the shift from the Indian makers, who used to develop games in India but used to look for the Western markets for their as a primary consumer, that has
Mm-hmm.
now shifted to the Indian land, because they have now realized that Indian land is definitely now Indian consumers are more than ready for the gaming community, right? And obviously, like, they have an added advantage of understanding the Indian consumer far better than the foreign players, right?
Gagan, I'm sorry. Sorry, your voice was breaking up for the last part. So, you were saying something about the Indian publishers having an advantage. Can you repeat from there on?
Yeah, so Indian publishers definitely have an advantage of kind of understanding the Indian consumers better than the international players, which is
Mm-hmm.
why they have now started focusing more on the Indian turf, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, though the overall attention has in the past years have been like should be attributed to the games like PUBG, Call of Duty, who are making a mark in the overall society.
Mm-hmm.
But the homegrown developers are focusing heavily on the localization of the games, right? And
Got
which
it.
is adding the Indianized flavor to the overall sense. Like now, games like Rummy, Teen Patti, and those
Mm-hmm.
have reincarnated into the in the digital space, right? And then when we talk about from a publisher standpoint, I mean, there's a vote of confidence from the publishers, like from the investors as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
the marquee investors like Kalari, Sequoia, Bloom Ventures, and then in Times Internet, they have also started pouring in and opening wallets for these publishers, and then
Mm-hmm.
started pouring in funding to boost the entire overall development, which again is a vote of confidence, right? And when we talk
Right.
about from the big players, the big movers like Reliance and Bharti Airtel,
Mm-hmm.
they are definitely betting big on the overall segment. which kind of makes
True,
sense
true.
because telcos who have actually worked their worked a lot on kind of putting all those numbers down in terms of the data
Mm-hmm.
tariffs. They would
Mm.
want the consumers to now start engaging in activities which kind of consumes the internet, right? So all those
Definitely.
strategies are now taking, though these strategies in terms of Geo as well as Airtel, they are like
Mm-hmm.
very very different. Geo is like taking the hyper casual game route, while
Mm-hmm.
Airtel is now betting on the esports route, right? Uh,
Okay.
Obviously, like with the recent massive fund round that Reliance went through in last year, with
Mm-hmm.
partnerships like Microsoft, Facebook, Tesseract for the overall VR.
Mm-hmm.
This will give definitely my this is my speculation, which is like again like most part it is true for Reliance, so to speak. Uh, I mean, they will definitely have a dominant position in the Indian market.
Mm-hmm.
While again, like there are certain mini players like Nazara are also like partnering with EA in general, and then making a move within the Indian market, right? Players like Epic Games are now kind of live in India, which are now opening offices, and they would want to tap into their overall talent pool, obviously, as well as have a game plan for the overall massive market that is out there.
A very key question. That is, hello, are you able to hear me?
Yes, Alex.
Okay, sorry. So,
Yeah, Alex.
sorry, Pawan, there was a technical glitch. Sorry for that.
No worries.
Yeah, what I was saying was we need to we are coming to a key question, which is the startups.
Right.
So, and the millennials getting into the gaming business. What kind of a pie are we looking at? It's a very big market. There are a lot of players. So, how are the startups doing in this kind of an ecosystem?
So startups definitely are flocking in right now. I mean, like there's a lot of traction around the fantasy, sports side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Players like Dream 11 has actually opened gates for, and a lot of players now. MPL, obviously, like the Times Internet Initiative, now is now taking out, and then like again that is like the fantasy sports side of things, where you have to have a connection between the physical side of things, and then obviously like start involving players on the virtual mobile games, and then earn
Right,
money out of it, right? Now, again,
right.
like when we talk about from an overall perspective of the development community,
Mm-hmm.
there are like again like company players like GameShin, 24/7, 24/7 games,
Mm-hmm.
Nazara again being one of the key players here. They
Mm-hmm.
are kind of also like focusing more on the international markets, giving the Indian flavor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, like banking on all those so regarded like game pastimes. They are
Mm-hmm.
now being digitally launched, like Rummy online, the Teen Patis. Those games have now taken shape on the Indian platform, right? And which is
Right.
why the overall startup community is now being boosted. Yeah. So
So it's a big opportunity for a lot of millennials and a lot of young people who are creative as well as who are quite familiar. They haven't left the space of being a gamer and they can get into the game development. Scene.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this is definitely one of the right times, and as per like Nazara's co-founder statements as well. I mean, this is definitely the decade for the gaming community, and at
Okay.
least we hope that there are like better times and much more mature market to come in.
Now, when we talk about game creation, are there any particularly successful playbooks for the Indian audience? What kinds of games are popular with our Indian audience, as well as any specific business models or playbook that have seen a lot of success?
That's definitely difficult to predict, Alex. I mean, because Indian as a market has always been like too finicky, and it's very
Okay.
very difficult at how India is going to react to anything.
Mm-hmm.
But given that situation, I mean, we are those people who have forced Starbucks to, or like no, probably sorry Subway to kind of launch tandoori chickens. Sad. We have forced Domino's to kind of come up with cheeseburger pizzas.
Oh, yeah.
So all those things are like Indianized flavors. So like people have to like kind of adapt to the Indianness that we carry with ourselves, and adapt their entire menus accordingly. Now, when we talk about from a game perspective, obviously there has to be some sense of Indianization, which kind
Mm-hmm.
of fits well with us. right?
Mm-hmm.
Then when we talk about from an Indian consumer, as we talked about in the I think one of the key one of the past questions that you posed. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so the key players and the key chunk that lies between 18 to 24 are not the ones who are earning that money, right? So they're the
Mm-hmm.
ones who are dependent on someone else to kind of pour in money for them. So
Mm-hmm.
like players like PUBG, why they were successful? Like if at all we borrow like certain feathers from their hat,
Mm-hmm.
freemium model like from PUBG, right? Which is so which is like which is the holy grail for the Indian economy, right?
Mm-hmm. True.
For the Indian community, right? So
Yeah.
there are more like Indians are like more likely to spend when there is a scope of prestige associated with it. And
Mm-hmm.
while this was happening, again, like PUBG, what they obviously were inherently dependent on the in-game purchases, right? But
Mm-hmm.
overall sense, I mean, they still had to kind of vary off from the less or much more prevalent strategy out there, which is like pay to win. So like there are a lot of companies, what they do is that they pitch two players against each other, and they kind of ask them to pay in order to win more. So that kind of strategy is like very very much looked down upon, especially from an Indian perspective. You cannot pick an Indian to buy into something. So
Yeah.
and then, like PUBG knew this, and PUBG obviously kind of refrained from getting themselves involved in paying to get better at the skill. So
Mm-hmm.
the in-app purchases were more honing towards the overall skins, the look and feel of it, like probably a new weapon, which had got nothing to do with the skills, right? So the game
Mm-hmm.
balance aspect of it is like pretty important for that entire formula to kind of work, right? So those are the aspects I think that that might work a little well in the Indian space. And
Okay.
obviously there's a social angle to the overall gaming community as well. So yeah, everything put together, I think like we can that those can be couple of pointers from my end.
Yeah. And the definitely the revenue being focused on the ads rather than getting the revenue from the gamers. I think
Yeah.
that would also be a different thing, strategy from what we have usually seen in more mature markets.
Again, like ad revenues is very very specific to the mobile gaming space. I mean, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
like console definitely does not see like the ad revenue as much, because obviously there's a so in mobile gaming, how inherently is like it is different from the console gaming side of things, because
Mm-hmm.
mobile obviously has a very very low switching cost. I mean, there's hardly anything that kind of involves from a consumer point of view. They can actually
Mm-hmm.
switch, and they can drop off from one game and switch to the other one, because there are like tons of free to play apps, right? But
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about from a console gaming, I mean, you have to pay $60, right? Like $60 per
Per
disc,
game.
or right per game, right? So that kind of gives a lot of like pressure on the gamer to kind of one bad mistake and you still have to stick with that game for a while, until
Yep.
then you're ready to kind of shove off more money.
Mm-hmm.
But while in mobile, obviously the ball game is like different altogether.
Okay. So
Yeah.
are you saying that the Indian market is less likely to start adopting into the console side of things, and they are likely to stick
I
to
would
the
not say that. I mean,
mobile game?
because again, like I would definitely not say that. Like, because like quarter over quarter, like sales for PS4 also doubled last year.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like there are like certain there's obviously a surge in the gaming laptop industry. So PC is still holding strong in the Indian market, and obviously from the global sense as well. But what is interesting, or what might be interesting in times to come, is that will the mobile gamers get so much involved in mobile gaming that they would evolve into a PC gamer or a console gamer, just to enhance the overall experience. So, I mean, mobile might be one of the enablers for boosting into the PC and the console market. I would not pose mobile as a definite competitor between the platforms. Though there are like very interesting movement that are happening around the landscape of the overall global gaming as well.
Okay. So
Yeah.
again, how do you think the global gaming landscape is evolving, and contrasting it with India? What are the things that are happening globally?
Globally, again, like there are few hot topics that are going around within the space. One definitely is like cloud gaming. That's like speculated to be the Netflix of gaming. I mean, Netflix of gaming is something that, again, it's just a change in the subscription model, but it has got everything to do with how the games are being consumed. So content, on-demand content has been there on the right on the block since the conception of Netflix was there. But
Mm-hmm.
again, like putting that idea into the gaming landscape. So
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of large players, large ticket size, like likes of Amazon, Facebook, Google launched Stadia, PlayStation and Xbox have already been leading the entire space. So those players are actually contributing to a lot in this entire cloud gaming. Steam is one of the most mature platforms that is out there. All these movements are hinting towards probably much more sophisticated or a subscription based economy around Netflix, around cloud gaming. Again, this is again one of the key hot topics, right? The other point may be AR, VR, and MR. The augmented realities, the virtual realities, and the mixed realities part of games, right? That is also definitely boosting up. When we talk about the hot topic in the AI ML side of things, I mean, adaptive gaming is something that is taking shape, where the idea is like very based on a very very simple concept. The concept is that you need to give a gamer a feeling of playing a new game every time that he enters into a game, and probably
Okay.
make it a little more challenging, right? So
Okay.
put together both those concepts together, and within a map that you might enter into a same map, but you might just have a different local feel, right?
Okay.
So the overall, these are pretty hot topics that are going around in the industry, and it will be very very interesting to see that how India kind of reacts to everything within this
Okay.
space. Yeah.
Yeah, I really hope that India reaches number one in terms of gaming penetration. I think it's currently at 11 in terms of gaming penetration. The number of
In
gamers
gaming
that we
penetration on a global terms, it is 111 as of now, but
111. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
but from a revenue and the market size opportunities, it's currently standard number 5.
So, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Let's hope India gets to number one, and that all the people who want to get into the business of gaming, this is the right time. This is the perfect time to do that. Uh,
absolutely. Like the growth
Wishing.
numbers are definitely way above the global average. So I think we are definitely in the right space, and it won't be
And
wrong. It won't be a stretch of an imagination when you say that this is definitely the gold mine for the millennials. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Gagan, and shedding so much light on the Indian gaming market scenario. And we wish you all the best in terms of all the activities that your Center of Excellence is going to undertake, all the researches and innovation.
Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you for having me over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you guys for joining us. I see that there are some questions. I think we are almost out of time, but we'll make sure that we can respond to us on this. We'll respond to you on this thread. Yeah. Thank you.